Welcome to the HFY Codex Tale. If you like our videos, keep supporting and subscribe to our channel. They called her the Planet Breaker. Then she met a human farmer. They called her Viola the Planet Breaker. She led fleets that crushed whole worlds. Her name made colonies surrender before a single shot was fired. She destroyed cities, erased cultures, and walked through fire without fear. Her armor was black like the void, her eyes like burning stars. She had no mercy. But now she was alone. And she was waking up in a wooden barn, lying on hay, her armor cracked, blood dry on her hands, and a strange animal sniffing her face. A dog. Viola tried to move, but pain exploded in her chest. Her ribs were broken, her leg twisted. She reached for her sidearm, gone. That's when she heard the voice. "Don't try anything, you're still healing." She turned her head. A human male stood in the barn doorway, tall, bearded, dressed in old clothes and boots covered in mud. He was holding a shotgun but not pointing it at her. His face was calm, almost curious. "You crashed hard," he said. "Saw the fireball fall from the sky, found you in the field, figured you were some kind of pilot or something else." Viola narrowed her eyes. "You should have left me." "I almost did," the man replied. "But my dog started licking your face, figured if he didn't hate you, I'd give you a chance." The dog barked once, then sat down beside her like a loyal guard. Viola tried to rise, but her body screamed. "Who are you?" "Name, Daniel. I live here, just a farmer." She blinked slowly. A farmer. No guards, no army, just a man, a dog, and a simple wooden home. "How long was I unconscious?" 2 days, Daniel said. "You had some tech in your suit trying to repair you, but it was dying. I patched what I could." She studied him. He didn't look like a soldier. His hands were rough from work, not war. He didn't flinch. He didn't stare in fear. He looked at her like she was just another person. "You don't know who I am?" she asked. Daniel shrugged. "Should I?" "I am General Viola, commander of the Black Flame Armada, destroyer of..." He raised a hand. Yeah, Planet Breaker, I've heard stories, thought you were just some legend." Her mouth tightened. "I'm no legend." "I can see that," Daniel said calmly. "But right now, you're just someone who can't walk without help." Viola wanted to snap back, but she was too tired. Her body was cold, weak, broken. She closed her eyes. "I should have died," she whispered. Daniel sat on a nearby stool. "But you didn't." Silence filled the barn for a while. Rain began to tap on the roof. Viola opened her eyes and looked at the dog again. "What's his name?" "Lucky," Daniel said. "Strange name for a creature that trusts strangers." Daniel chuckled. "Maybe, but he's usually right about people." Viola stared at the ceiling. "Why are you helping me?" Daniel looked at her for a long moment. "Because I've seen enough war to know it leaves everyone broken, even the ones who win." Her jaw tightened. "I never lose." "Maybe not in space," Daniel said, standing up. "But here on Earth, things are different." He walked out of the barn, leaving her alone with the dog. Viola laid back, confused. This human was nothing like the others she'd met in battle. He didn't beg. He didn't scream. He didn't even ask for reward or surrender. He just helped. Was he a fool? Or was this what humans were really like, when they weren't being bombed from orbit? That night she dreamed of fire. Planets burning, ships exploding, civilians screaming. Her fleet had been ordered to take Earth next. She had followed her mission until her ship was hit. She never saw the attacker, a lucky shot, a rebel ambush, or maybe something else. She woke up sweating, heart racing, pain flaring in her side. Daniel was sitting nearby again, reading a book. She stared at him. "You should kill me. I've killed thousands like you." Daniel looked at her quiet. "I know." She frowned. "And you're not afraid?" "No," he said, "because I don't think you're the same person anymore." She didn't answer, because for the first time, she wasn't sure either. She tried to kill him, but his dog wouldn't let her. Viola healed fast. Her alien body, built for war, was repairing itself hour by hour. Daniel's bandages helped. His strange homemade soup helped too, though she never admitted it. And the silence of his farm confused her. No one screamed, no one ran, no one obeyed her. It was just wind, rain, and the sound of Lucky's tail thumping softly against the wooden floor. Viola sat up in the barn, watching Daniel fix a fence outside. She had stayed quiet for 3 days, studying, waiting, remembering who she was. She wasn't a guest. She was a general, and she needed control back. That night she moved. Daniel had gone to sleep in the small cabin nearby. Lucky was curled at the foot of her bed of hay. She waited until Lucky's breathing slowed. Then she reached for the old iron tool Daniel left near the door, a sharp gardening fork, primitive, but enough. She crept through the night. Her legs still hurt, but her body obeyed now, silent, deadly like before. The door creaked open. She stepped inside. Daniel was asleep in a chair by the fireplace, arms crossed. The shotgun was nearby, but not in his hands. Weakness. She raised the fork. One thrust, and the problem would be gone. But then a growl. Low. Warninged. Behind her. She froze. Lucky was standing in the doorway, not barking, not attacking, just staring at her. His eyes locked on hers, his fur bristled. He didn't lunge. He didn't whine. He just stood in front of Daniel. Like a shield. Viola's hand trembled. No one had ever stopped her like this before. Not armies. Not kings. Not trained soldiers. But now, a dog stood between her and her target. She lowered the fork just an inch. Lucky stepped forward. Another inch. She backed away. He didn't growl this time. He simply moved until her path was blocked. Viola dropped the tool. Daniel stirred, opened one eye. He saw her, saw Lucky, saw everything. And he didn't shout. He didn't move for the gun. He just said, "So, you're awake." She looked away, ashamed. "I could have done it," she whispered. "I know," he said softly, "but you didn't." She clenched her jaw. Why didn't he attack? Daniel shrugged. Maybe he saw something in you, something even you forgot was there. She looked at Lucky. The dog sat down, tail still. "You're both fools," she said. Daniel gave a tired smile. "Maybe, but we're still alive." The next morning, she didn't try again. Not because she was scared, but because something inside her had changed. She sat with Daniel at the porch, drinking hot water he called tea. It smelled like flowers and tasted like nothing. She didn't speak much, but she watched him. His hands scarred from hard work, his eyes calm but sharp. His silence said more than words. He was nothing like her people. And still, he was not weak. He looked at her. "What happens when your army comes looking for you?" She didn't answer right away. "They think I'm dead," she said. "They'll search, but they won't find me easily." "And if they do?" he asked. Viola looked out at the field. Birds flew across the sky. "If they find me," she paused, then said something strange. "I hope I don't kill them." Daniel blinked. "That's a weird way of saying you're sorry." "I'm not sorry," she said. "Not yet, but I'm wondering." Daniel nodded. "That's a start." Later that night, she sat beside Lucky. She didn't touch him, but she didn't move away either. He rested his head on her boot and fell asleep. And for the first time in her life, Viola the Planet Breaker did not feel alone. She gave orders to burn Earth. Now she watches flowers grow with a human. The warship had hovered above Earth once, black, massive, and cold. Viola stood at its command deck, eyes sharp, voice steady. She had ordered fire to rain down on forests, cities, oceans. "Let them burn," she said. That was who she used to be. But now she was kneeling in the dirt, planting carrots with her bare hands. Daniel had given her gloves, but she refused. She wanted to feel the soil, to touch something that wasn't metal or blood. "Push the seed in not too deep," Daniel said. "Then cover it." She did as told, her hands trembling. "It's so soft." He nodded. "That's earth. It grows back, but only if you let it." She looked around. The garden was small, surrounded by a fence. There were tomato vines, rows of green leaves, and bright yellow flowers reaching for the sky. The same sky her ships once darkened. She didn't speak for a long time. That evening she sat by the flower patch. Lucky lay beside her, tail twitching, eyes closed. Daniel handed her a bowl of warm soup. She took it without a word. He looked at her. Why did you do it? She didn't look back. Do what? Burn worlds, lead armies, kill billions. She didn't flinch. I was trained to since I could walk. My people taught us mercy is weakness, emotion is failure. Daniel stirred his soup. Sounds lonely. She nodded. It was. He looked at her again. But now you're here. I shouldn't be, she said softly. Earth should be dust by now. I gave the order to destroy it from orbit. Daniel froze. She turned her head. The only reason Earth still spins is because one of my admirals questioned me. I had him executed for that. Silence fell. The wind blew softly through the trees. You hate me now? She asked. Daniel took a slow breath. No, he said, but I'm starting to understand you. The next morning, she woke to birdsong. Not alarms, not orders, just birds. She stepped outside barefoot, feeling dew under her feet. The world felt alive. She walked to the flowers, touched one gently. It didn't fear her. It bloomed anyway. Later, Daniel found her standing still by the pond, staring at her reflection. I don't recognize my own face anymore, she said. That's not always a bad thing, he replied. She looked at him. Why haven't you turned me in? He smiled. Because I think maybe the person who gave those old orders isn't the one sitting here now. She shook her head. You're strange, human. Get in line, he said. That night she couldn't sleep. Not because of pain, but because of a feeling she didn't understand. Regret. Not just for what she did, but for what she could have been if she had known someone like Daniel earlier. She whispered to Lucky, what am I becoming? Lucky just wagged his tail and licked her hand. The stars above were the same ones she used to fly through with fire and fear. Now under those same stars, she pulled weeds in a quiet garden. And it terrified her more than any war ever had. Because maybe she liked it here. He took her to a human town, and everyone froze when they saw her. It was Daniel's idea. We need supplies, he said, and I think it's time you see more than just my farm. Viola looked up from the garden. Her hands were covered in dirt. A butterfly sat on her shoulder. I don't belong in your towns, she said. Maybe, Daniel replied, but you're not hiding forever. She didn't argue. She didn't agree. But that evening she changed out of her armor and wore old earth clothes, loose jeans, a jacket, and boots. Her silver skin still shimmered faintly. Her eyes still glowed in moonlight. She looked human enough until she looked too closely. Lucky rode in the back of the truck. Viola sat beside Daniel in the front. The town was 20 minutes away. 20 minutes to change everything. The town was quiet. A small place with a few shops, dusty roads, old trucks, and people who knew each other by name. Viola stepped out of the truck slowly. At first, no one noticed. She followed Daniel to the small store. He greeted the old man at the counter. Hey, Tom, just grabbing flour and batteries. Tom smiled. No problem, Dan. Then he saw Viola. His smile vanished. She kept her eyes low, but it didn't help. Someone else noticed her skin. A woman across the street dropped her shopping bag. A child stared. An old man whispered a name, Viola. The word moved like lightning. Planet Breaker. Monster. Executioner. Within seconds, the silence turned sharp. A soldier in uniform stood near the diner. His eyes narrowed. His hand moved toward his holster. Daniel stepped in front of her. She's not your enemy, he said loudly. She's not here to hurt anyone. No one moved. Lucky barked once, loud, protective. Get her out of here, someone shouted. She burned colonies. She killed my brother. Viola didn't flinch. But inside, she was breaking. Daniel turned to her. You okay? She nodded once. They have the right to hate me. He held her hand. She didn't pull away. Then a girl stepped forward. A teenager, pale, shaking, but brave. My mom died in the siege of Terra 9, she said. Your fleet did that. Viola looked into her eyes. I know, she said softly. And I have no way to undo that pain, but I remember that planet. I remember the mothers who screamed. I remember the flames. The crowd went silent again. Viola took a deep breath. I was raised to believe mercy was weakness, but someone showed me it's not. She turned to Daniel. And now I'm trying to become someone who deserves to live on this world. Her voice cracked on the last word. The girl stepped closer. Everyone held their breath. Then the girl said, "Did you cry for them?" Viola didn't look away. "Not then, but I do now every night." The girl nodded. And for a moment, no one shouted, no one moved. They just watched, as the most feared alien in the galaxy stood in the middle of a human town, without a weapon, without armor, without pride. Only honesty. That night back at the cabin, Viola sat on the porch watching the stars. "I should have stayed hidden," she whispered. Daniel shook his head. "No, they needed to see you." "They saw a monster." "No," he said, "they saw a woman trying to change." She looked down. "Will they ever forgive me?" Daniel smiled gently. "I already did." She looked at him, eyes glassy. And for the first time since she arrived on Earth, she let the tears fall. He took her to a human town, and everyone froze when they saw her. It was Daniel's idea. "We need supplies," he said, "and I think it's time you see more than just my farm." Viola looked up from the garden. Her hands were covered in dirt. A butterfly sat on her shoulder. "I don't belong in your towns," she said. "Maybe," Daniel replied, "but you're not hiding forever." She didn't argue. She didn't agree. But that evening she changed out of her armor and wore old Earth clothes, loose jeans, a jacket, and boots. Her silver skin still shimmered faintly. Her eyes still glowed in moonlight. She looked human enough until she looked too closely. Lucky rode in the back of the truck. Viola sat beside Daniel in the front. The town was 20 minutes away. 20 minutes to change everything. The town was quiet. A small place with a few shops, dusty roads, old trucks, and people who knew each other by name. Viola stepped out of the truck slowly. At first, no one noticed. She followed Daniel to the small store. He greeted the old man at the counter. "Hey, Tom, just grabbing flour and batteries." Tom smiled. "No problem, Dan." Then he saw Viola. His smile vanished. She kept her eyes low, but it didn't help. Someone else noticed her skin. A woman across the street dropped her shopping bag. A child stared. An old man whispered a name, Viola. The word moved like lightning. Planet breaker. Monster. Executioner. Within seconds, the silence turned sharp. A soldier in uniform stood near the diner. His eyes narrowed. His hand moved toward his holster. Daniel stepped in front of her. "She's not your enemy," he said loudly. "She's not here to hurt anyone." No one moved. Lucky barked once, loud, protective. "Get her out of here," someone shouted. "She burned colonies. She killed my brother." Viola didn't flinch. But inside, she was breaking. Daniel turned to her. "You okay?" She nodded once. "They have the right to hate me." He held her hand. She didn't pull away. Then a girl stepped forward. A teenager, pale, shaking, but brave. "My mom died in the siege of Terra 9, she said. "Your fleet did that." Viola looked into her eyes. "I know," she said softly. "And I have no way to undo that pain, but I remember that planet. I remember the mothers who screamed. I remember the flames." The crowd went silent again. Viola took a deep breath. "I was raised to believe mercy was weakness, but someone showed me it's not." She turned to Daniel. "And now I'm trying to become someone who deserves to live on this world." Her voice cracked on the last word. The girl stepped closer. Everyone held their breath. Then the girl said, "Did you cry for them?" Viola didn't look away. "Not then, but I do now every night." The girl nodded. And for a moment, no one shouted, no one moved. They just watched, as the most feared alien in the galaxy stood in the middle of a human town, without a weapon, without armor, without pride. Only honesty. That night back at the cabin, Viola sat on the porch, watching the stars. "I should have stayed hidden," she whispered. Daniel shook his head. "No, they needed to see you." "They saw a monster." "No," he said. "They saw a woman trying to change." She looked down. "Will they ever forgive me?" Daniel smiled gently. "I already did." She looked at him, eyes glassy. And for the first time since she arrived on Earth, she let the tears fall. Her army came to finish the job, but she stood in their way. It started with the sky turning black. At first, people thought it was a storm, but then came the sound, a deep hum like metal grinding against the clouds. The news flashed across every screen. Multiple unknown ships detected entering Earth's orbit, source confirmed. Black Flame Armada. They had come. Viola's army. Inside the secure compound, Viola stood frozen, eyes locked on the sky above. "They found me," she whispered. "They think Earth captured me. They've come to finish what I started." Daniel stood beside her. "Then talk to them. You can stop this." She shook her head slowly. "They won't listen. To them, I'm already dead, or worse, a traitor." "Then show them you're not." Military leaders argued in panicked rooms. "Launch countermeasures. Call every fleet." "She brought them here." Daniel slammed his hand on the table. "She's not your enemy anymore. Give her a chance to stop them." Viola stepped forward. "Give me a ship, one transmission. I'll go alone." The room fell silent. "You expect us to let you walk into your own fleet?" a general barked. Viola's voice didn't shake. "No, I expect you to trust that I don't want another planet to burn." 10 minutes later, she stood on the launch pad, dressed not in armor, but in a plain flight suit. No weapons, no shield. Only her name. Only her voice. The shuttle rose into the sky, breaking through the clouds. The fleet above waited like wolves circling a wounded deer. The flagship loomed ahead, the Obsidian Blade, the very ship where she once stood as supreme commander. Now she was a visitor, an outsider. The ship scanned her shuttle, paused, then pulled her in. The doors opened. And there they were, her former generals, armored and cold. "Viola," one growled, "we believed you dead." "Some of you hoped for it," she replied. "You gave orders to burn Earth. Why have you not done it?" Viola stepped forward. "Because I've seen what fire turns to when it's done burning, ashes and regret." They stared. "I came here to conquer," she continued. "But I found something no training ever gave me, mercy." "Mercy is weakness," one spat. "No," she said. "Mercy is power when used to protect, not destroy." One general raised his weapon. "I should erase you myself. You stand with them now." Viola raised her hand, not in defense, but in command. "You follow my name, my blood, my victories. Then follow this final order. Stand down, leave Earth. No more killing, no more war." They hesitated. Then a voice came from the side, young, clear, female. "We follow the strong general, and right now, you're the only one with the strength to stop a war." It was her former lieutenant. And then slowly, others lowered their weapons. One by one, until the ship fell silent. Back on Earth, the skies began to clear. People came out of shelters. The Black Flame Armada turned around and left. When Viola stepped off the shuttle again, Daniel was waiting. "You did it," he said. "No," she said quietly. "They did, they listened." He smiled because they saw what I saw. "What's that?" "That the one person who destroyed planets is now the one who saved this one." That night, Viola stood on the porch again. No armor, no guns. Just peace. She looked at the stars, not as targets, but as lights. She whispered, "I used to fear silence. Now I crave it." Daniel handed her a cup of tea. "You're not done yet," he said. "I know," she replied. "But now I'm ready for whatever comes next." And Lucky laid his head on her lap, like always. She conquered planets without mercy, but only one human made her kneel. It had been 1 month since the sky cleared. 1 month since Viola stood between Earth and her own army, and chose peace. The world still watched her. Some feared her, some praised her. But no one ignored her. She was no longer just the planet breaker. Now she was something else. Viola walked slowly through Daniel's garden. Flowers bloomed around her feet. Birds sang without fear. She wore no armor now, only soft cloth and bare hands. Daniel stood nearby, fixing a broken gate. Lucky followed behind her, tail wagging like always. Peace felt real now. But peace came with a question. What happens next? That question was answered the day a new ship arrived. Silent, gold, and unlike any warship. It carried an ambassador from Viola's old empire. He stepped onto Earth's soil and bowed his head. The council wants you back, he said. They see what you did. They want to offer you something higher than general, a voice in the stars, a throne. Daniel didn't speak. He just looked at her. Viola looked down at her hands. Hands that once pressed buttons to burn cities. Hands that now grew tomatoes and brushed hair from her eyes. Tell them, she said, I'm not coming back. The ambassador blinked. You'll refuse your own empire. She stepped forward, calm and unshaken. I didn't save Earth to become queen over its ashes. News of her decision spread everywhere. Across colonies. Across Earth. Across the stars. The one who destroyed, without mercy, had walked away from power. And some said that took more strength than any battle she ever won. That evening, Viola stood with Daniel beneath the trees. The stars twinkled above. I don't belong anywhere, she whispered. Daniel turned to her. You belong here. She shook her head. I've conquered everything I ever wanted, until now, because now I don't want to conquer. What do you want? He asked. She looked at him, really looked. Her voice was barely a breath. You. And then something no one ever thought possible happened. Viola knelt. Not in defeat. Not in shame. But in love. Her eyes lowered, her hands open. She said, I kneel not because I'm weak, but because you gave me back something I didn't know I'd lost, my soul. Daniel was silent. Then slowly he knelt too. Then let's build something new, together. Time passed. Not many knew where she went after that. Some say she lived quietly on Earth, teaching people how to grow things instead of break them. Others say she helped build peace between humans and stars. But those who met her always said the same thing. She looked like a warrior, but she smiled like someone who had finally come home. And somewhere far from war and blood, a former conqueror knelt beside a human farmer and never stood alone again. The end.